Good morning, kindergarten friends. Earlier this week, we worked with Miss Cardis on making connections to the stories we read. So today I have another story, and we're going to be working on making connections to other books and making connections to things we know already when we are reading. So today's story is The Three Bears. One connection you might make by looking at the cover is this book has bears in it again. Another connection I might make is I have the word three. I know that number. I've learned that number, the number word three. So those are some connections we might make by just looking at the cover. As we read today, I want you to think about connections we might have in this book, and we might want to also practice making connections to our own brain and things we know already. Also, we want to maybe make some predictions. So a prediction is something that you think will happen in the story. In this book, I think these bears, I predict these bears might be in a family. So as we read, I'm going to try to make some connections and some predictions to my story here. The Three Bears. Once upon a time, there were three bears who lived together in a house of their own in the woods. One of them was a little wee bear, one was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a great big bear. I'm thinking of a connection. One of the connections might be that in the story with little bears, there was a little bear, and in this story, there is a little bear too. They each had a bowl for their porridge. The little wee bear had a little wee bowl, the middle-sized bear had a middle-sized bowl, and the great big bear had a great big bowl. They each had a chair to sit in. The little wee bear had a little wee chair. The middle-sized bear had a middle-sized chair. And the great big bear had a great big chair. They each had a bed to sleep in. The little wee bear had a little wee bed. The middle-sized bear had a middle-sized bed. And the great big bear had a great big bed. One morning, the three bears made porridge for breakfast and poured it into their bowls, but it was too hot to eat, so they decided to go for a walk in the woods until it cooled. While the three bears were walking, a little girl named Goldilocks came to their house. First she looked in the window, then she peeked through the keyhole. Of course, there was nobody inside. Goldilocks turned the handle of the door. Uh-oh, she's going to go into the house. I'm going to make a prediction. I think she's going to eat the bear's porridge that they made. The door was not locked because the three bears were trusting bears. They did no harm to anyone and never thought anyone would harm them. So Goldilocks opened the door and went right in. There was the porridge on the table. It smelled very, very good. Goldilocks did not stop to think about whose porridge it was. She went straight to it. So there my prediction was right. First she tasted the porridge of the great big bear, but it was too hot. Then she tasted the porridge of the middle-sized bear, but it was too cold. Then she tasted the porridge of the little wee bear. It was neither too hot nor too cold, but just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she ate it all up. Then Goldilocks went to the parlor to see what else she could find. The parlor is kind of like a kitchen. There were three chairs. First she sat down in the chair of the great big bear, but it was too hard. Then she sat down in the chair of the middle-sized bear, but it was too soft. Then she sat down in the chair of the little wee bear, but it was neither too hard nor too soft, but just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she rocked and rocked until the bottom of the chair fell out. Down she went, plump onto the floor. Goldilocks went into the bedroom where the three bears slept. First she lay down upon the bed of the great big bear, but it was too high at the head for her. Then she lay down upon the bed of the middle-sized bear, but it was too high at the foot for her. Then she lay down upon the bed of the little wee bear. It was neither too high at the head nor too high at the foot, but just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she covered herself up and fell fast asleep. By this time the three bears thought their porridge would be cold enough or cool enough, so they came home for breakfast. Goldilocks had left the spoon of the great big bear in his porridge bowl. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody has been tasting my porridge," said the great big bear in his great big bear voice. Goldilocks had left the spoon of the middle-sized bear in her porridge bowl too. "Somebody has been tasting my porridge," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Then the little wee bear looked down at his bowl. "Somebody has been tasting my porridge and has eaten it all up," cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. Then the three bears went into the parlor. Goldilocks had left the cushion crooked in the chair of the great big bear. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said the great big bear in his great big voice. Goldilocks had squashed down the cushion of the chair of the middle-sized bear. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Then the little wee bear looked at his chair. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair and sat right through it," cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. The three bears went into the bedroom. "I'm going to make a prediction that the bears are going to find Goldilocks and eat her. Let's see if I'm right." Goldilocks had pulled the pillow of the great big bear out of place. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody has been lying in my bed," said the great big bear in his great big voice. Goldilocks had pulled the blanket of the middle-sized bear out of place. "Somebody has been lying in my bed," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Then the little wee bear looked at his bed. "Somebody has been lying in my bed, and here she is," cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. This woke Goldilocks up at once. There were the three bears all staring at her. Goldilocks was so frightened that she tumbled out of bed and ran to the open window. Out she jumped. And she ran away as fast as she could, never looking behind her. No one knows what happened to Goldilocks after that. As for the three bears, they never saw her again. So, my prediction that the bears would eat Goldilocks was wrong. Some other connections we might make in this story are the bears have beds. You might have a bed at your house. You might sit in your own chair at home. You might eat something like porridge or oatmeal where you have to let it cool before you eat it. So we can make lots of connections to the books we read. We can also make predictions about what happens in the story. Great readers do both things. They think about connections and they make predictions about what might happen next in the story. What do I think? So as you read on Epic today, take a look at a book and practice making connections and making predictions. Have a good day.